Welcome to Office Hours. I'm David Meltzer, and it's time for the Executive Spotlight. I have Amanda Lamage with me. She is an aesthetic expert, a holistic expert, and unbelievable speaker as well. And you can see her on so many different interviews and stages. Amanda, welcome to Executive Spotlight.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Aesthetics is a growing area, especially in wellness. And a lot of people are confused why, but there seems to be some great crossover between the aesthetic side of things and wellness itself. What are some of the ways that you reconcile, as an aesthetic expert, wellness as a holistic approach?
We really want to enhance people's natural look and just soften what they already have.
Can you help me?
And maybe just...
Is it like asking Picasso to
I think you
paint
look
with
great.
fans?
I don't think you need a whole lot.
You can always look better, right?
You can always enhance.
Yeah.
And really, people want to look themselves. They don't want anyone else to really notice. And that's what we love to be able to cater to, is someone may find, they notice like, gosh, you look really good. I can't figure it out. What are you doing? That's what you want. So the way that we approach that is just aesthetics has changed drastically in the last decade. Product is very important, but also it's the provider and the technique, but just to do it in a way that's really undetectable. And people feel really good about themselves in that way. So they're not feeling vain, they're not overdone. And it's really just an enhancement, to really just,
I think you make a really good point that, with the advancement in technology and medicine, that we don't have the Jessica Rabbit look anymore.
Right.
And it's also creating a more a greater comfort level and helping people and telling people about aesthetics. Mm-hmm. I'm older, so generationally, women my age or even older would never talk about any type of aesthetic improvement.
Right.
It was like taboo beyond. In fact, when my wife has used today's aesthetic enhancements, Diane Cannon, who is one of our mentors and friends, who's in her late 80s, mm-hmm. like she was flabbergasted that, because she couldn't even tell. She's looking at her and go, I know this is inappropriate, but can I ask, have you had some work done? Because you look 10 years younger than last time I saw you. And she couldn't tell. And then she was flabbergasted that my wife was bragging about the types of procedures and healing wellness treatments that she has, which are not necessarily surgery, by the way. And
exactly.
So how has that helped people to feel comfortable, not only about doing it, but promoting it?
What's fun is when people ask me, what do you do? And I'll say, how much time do you have? Because it's not one thing. It's really just starting from the inside out, and your skin, everything will show on the outside what's going on the inside, right? But there's so many things that have advanced in our industry. One of my favorites treatments that we do is from Israel. It's called Balancer Pro, and it's something that it's a compression chamber. So a lot of pro athletes use it daily to prevent inflammation. But just for enhancing the immune system, the lymphatic system to work well, and flush out the metabolic waste, things that are sluggish. No matter if you're exercising or eating healthy, sometimes you just need that help. And so that's something that I really love to incorporate as a maintenance, something that patients will do weekly, some do it monthly, but definitely it's used heavily in Hollywood too for the red carpet protocol.
I love that, the red carpet protocol.
It's just it's a fun option, but doing some of the wellness things that so many people are incorporating even into their own homes now, the infrared sauna, right?
Or in the studios.
The red light. I mean, it's just, there's so much that encompasses when you say aesthetic, wellness. Really, it's a holistic approach.
And in that holistic approach, you talk about inside out. I talk about on the mindset side, you can't find outside of you what you are not seeking inside of you. And that meaning has something, but it is also in the emotional realm and the physical realm that we find inside of us. What are some of the key things that we can do to change the inside, whether it be probiotics, gut health, or is it peptides, or is it IVs? What are some of the modalities that you're utilizing to get a harmony inside so that it creates the harmony outside?
We work with so many patients, and everyone is really a case-by-case basis. If someone has cancer, if they're struggling with hormones, there's so many different options, and we want to start with a baby step approach, and probiotics is a great place to start. And also just something that helps open the drainage pathways. If someone's never done anything with, detox is a big word. You don't just start detoxing. You have to have the body prepare itself for it, right? So just doing something on a daily basis to help upregulate mitochondria. There's different things that we can do, but there definitely are supplements like vitamin C, some of the things that anyone can benefit from on a daily basis, but we love to work one-on-one with each patient to really assess what they may need. And we have functional medicine providers that can work with them too and test maybe, hormone levels or cortisol levels. That's a big one too, because everything stems from the gut.
Yeah.
But upregulating that mitochondria is really important.
And do we have the technology today to examine the immune system? Because coming from the philosophy, I'm blessed to have an honorary doctorate in humanities, in science humanities, understanding that we are at ease, but what's putting us at dis-ease. And a lot of time it is our power inside to fight the dis-ease, to overcome and heal the dis-ease. How much of technology has advanced in identifying where we may need improvement, or how well our immune system is? Because we're constantly being bombarded by dis-ease, mental, physical, and emotional. How much has technology advanced in that arena?
It's interesting you bring that up, because I find in Europe, in other countries other than America, they're way ahead of us. They see so many things that we see that
I think they're ahead of us in the Amazon.
Ahead of us
in the Amazon for like thousands of years.
Of course, but it's just like things they're doing in the hospitals even, to prevent or do treatments for cancer patients. Things that you would never see in America, unfortunately, in our hospitals. But there's just so much that they can see how, our immune systems, if we're overdoing, they can test on different things to see your body's just going to crash. Cortisol is really where it stems from.
Yeah.
And it's really the cortisol testing. Mine was really scary. The test I did wasn't even near a graph. It was like sky high. So
I think that'd be true about a lot of people in America.
Yeah. But just the mindset shift. And so finding like maybe it's 10 minutes in your day to just say, you know what, I know I'm bombarded, but to step out of your space and just reset, that can be huge. It's monumental, for someone that's never done any sort of wellness in their routine.
And shifting gears, you do a lot within the context of trauma. My philosophy about trauma is we're always interfering with our trauma, whether it be pre or past life trauma, womb trauma, infant, toddler, tween, teen, 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s trauma. But it's what we do when we're reacting to the trauma, how we respond to that. You do some exceptional work with people that cannot get over or understand the trauma and the reaction to it. What are some of the things you're doing to help with that trauma that causes cortisol and helps to put people at ease?
I think number one is just being aware and forgiving yourself. And I think that is huge for most people, really feeling a lot of guilt and shame. And it may not be their fault. Maybe it's generational, and just realizing that this is not my fault and taking that first step to make a change and having the courage to change is really where it starts.
Yeah.
And that's really
finding that inside. And, you are an expert at identifying this genetic and energetic inheritance. And that creates this quantum or an unconscious competency, a baseline of what you have to work with. And a lot of people that don't take this approach, it doesn't matter if the technology and the medicines and the peptides and the IVs and the chambers work. If we don't have a good idea of where you are genetic and energetically, we're not going to see the delta, the difference, the improvement. In that type of approach, how do you help them look inside and be honest with themselves so that they can forgive themselves?
Well, one thing is just taking a step back and noticing, are they able to enjoy seeing what they're doing daily? If they're just, finding, I'm really a passenger, I'm really not feeling, I'm just numb, just going through the motions.
I call it, most people live like a tube, food in, food out. That's their entire day. There's no passion, purpose, no profitability. There's no definiteness, intention to what they're doing.
Well, and just being able to see that you want to change and just getting to a point where maybe I'm helping them, incorporating just meditation is huge, but just seeing that maybe they're in a place where they can't go on the way that they are and just finding something that they absolutely can't go back. They have to they have to make a shift. They have to make a change because it's not in their element, and it's just not working.
And a lot of times we fall into the trap as coaches and teachers and mentors that we want it more than they want it for themselves. So we need to first focus in on making sure they want it for themselves. Now, about 11 years ago at the Super Bowl, I met a guy who I thought played for the New York Jets, but it ended up that he was a podcaster, and his name was Gary Vaynerchuk. And Gary Vaynerchuk, I had a radio show at the time syndicated on Gal Media called The Sports Blender, and he said, you need to start a podcast. And I told him, why would I start a podcast? This is 11 years ago. There's 200,000 podcasts. Why would I start a podcast? And yet I see myself 11 years later encouraging everyone to start a podcast. And there's about 4 million podcasts. You have an exceptional podcast. You are an exceptional interviewee, as well as is shown here on this show.
Thank you.
For you, why was it important for you to start your podcast?
It just became a point of God nudging me for about 5 years.
That's it?
And honestly,
all it took was Gary Vee, who's kind of like a God nudging me for 5 minutes. And I'm like, good idea.
Exactly. Well, and I found that to be able to persevere and make a change in my own life. And really, it's just about helping others, find their authenticity and just finding to be true to themselves, and that's something that I have a passion for, and just helping others with the mind, especially, right? The mindset shift and just the spirit. And it's just been a journey. It's been a really good journey. And I love having I'm open to having any guests on or being on other podcast shows as well around the world.
I highly suggest both, by the way. You're, like I said, an excellent interviewer and interviewee. Which one do you like better?
I like being a guest, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. It's so funny because I always thought that I, like being a guest better. But I probably, for whatever reason over the years, interview more people than probably time-wise too, because I have so many shows. But I really have learned to enjoy this side of the microphone, of being able to be more interested and learn. One of the nice things about being on either side of this is you kind of get an MBA a day when you're either being interviewed or interviewing somebody. The amount of information that's accessible today, and this information, which keeps aggregating, accelerating on it, compounds, in each of our industries, careers, and jobs. All of this positivity, all of this growth, all of these resolutions, meaning resolutions, to dis-ease. Now, you've moved from, a more specific practice into a more holistic wellness approach. What do you think the major difference in your own life of taking a holistic wellness approach? You look beautiful, you look young, your skin is wonderful, but you're so much more at ease and happy than you used to be. What impact has that had on your life?
Oh, it's a 180. I mean, really, it's a whole different frequency. And even people in my life, whether they're really close or not, they notice, they say, wow, you really, what are you doing? I want to do what you're doing. But it's just the mindset is, I think, the most important shift. But again, talking about finding what it is you're truly meant to be doing instead of just being a passenger on the train and, just
Trolley on and off.
Exactly. And so
food in, food out.
Finding that, what I really enjoy, and it's working with others, and
yeah, I feel like a lot of people check in, but they don't show up. It's like the difference for me, I'm a huge calendar person. Time is my love language. I study time and the relativity to it, meaning the meaning of it, the intention of my time, negotiable, non-negotiable. But I find that when I tell people or try to teach people about studying time, they check in. They don't show up in time. They check in, they look at it, and they look at their calendar, they look at their activities, and then I'll ask them, well, what's the number one thing you need to do today? And I literally, it's like being on stages like you, and people are like, you changed my life. That was amazing. I'm like, really? What was it that changed your life? What's your number one takeaway? What's the number one thing you got to do today? And it's amazing how many times that happens. For you, what have you learned when you're not just checking in, when you're showing up? What's the number one priority for you in your life?
Being a great listener. That's always been since my first.
Also makes you a great interview.
Thank you. But I just remember being in college and being asked that, what's Amanda going to bring to the table? And I said, I'm going to be a great listener.
Oh.
And And really, we've all been in that situation where someone wasn't listening to us, or, whether it's a haircut or whatever it may be, right? And just knowing how that feels. But I will tell you, like, I feel like it's been definitely helpful in everything that I do. But I definitely love being able to, find when you're interviewing someone to see something that maybe they don't want to bring up or talk about, but you can maybe touch on something and it might just spiral into something that is really organic.
You are an excellent listener. There's three types of listeners. There's interrupters. There's waiters, people who are interrupting in their head, just waiting to tell you what they think. And then there's these extraordinary listeners like Amanda Lamage. Check her out. Check out her podcast. She is an amazing person to help you look inside to find outside what you're looking for with health, wealth, worthiness. It's all there at your fingertips. Thank you, Amanda Lamage, for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Incredible interview as usual, and also be interviewed by her as well. This is David Meltzer with the Executive Spotlight on Office Hours.